Hello, my name is Jim Howard, Howard. I'm in Miami, Florida. Right now I live in Miami, Florida. I hope you'll visit my blog, showmeblog.com. What I wanted to tell you about, I'm doing little segments of stories, all of them true, 100% true. What I wanted to comment about today, or tell you about today, was when I was working security at a hospital back in Kansas City, Missouri, and the year would have been, well, some of it took place over a number of years, but I'm talking about 1974, 1975, something like that. We had a security officer, Dan Stagel, who was working in the Wabash parking lot. Wabash was a street that ran through there. And at 9:15 p.m., he was in the parking lot, and two men walked from a church parking lot into the doctor's parking lot where there was no gate there, and walked up to him, asked him if this was the parking lot for St. Joe Hospital, and he said yes it was. One sprayed him with mace, the other shot him, and then they wrestled with him till he fell to the ground, and then they took his gun and took off. I don't know if I've told this story or not on video here yet, but it's kind of interesting. Later they killed a security officer at a bowling alley a few blocks away from the hospital. There's more to the story than this. I do want to tell the whole story sometime. A few blocks from the hospital, they eventually shot and killed a off-duty Jackson County deputy sheriff who was working at a grocery store doing security. They caught them for that. A lot more to the story, and if I haven't told it, I can't remember, I'll come back and tell that story sometime. When Dan Stagel was shot, I came in the next morning and talked to, I worked day shift then. I went on to second shift then to replace Dan Stagel for a while, and then I went to midnights and then back to days. But when I came in, I told the other security officers we needed to get a gate across that entrance from the church parking lot into the doctor's parking lot, and we needed to have bulletproof vest or whatever. And I typed up something demanding that the hospital do it, that it was not negotiable, that they were to do that, period. I signed it. The guys who were on midnights signed it. The guys who were coming on the day shift with me, they signed it. Then one or two of them said, well, what does this mean about? And I said, no, it's not. This is not, we're not negotiating with these people. We're telling them that they must put a gate across there. They must get bulletproof vests for us, period. If they don't do it, that's it. We're out the door, or whatever it takes. We're not negotiating with them. We're demanding this, saying they have to do it, and they have to do it right now. Guy said, oh, no, take my name, take my name off the thing. So I redid the thing, saying, actually I didn't do it then because we had a director of security who I admired and respected, and whatever. Shortly after that, they fired the director of security because of the incident of the security officer. They didn't just fire him. It was a bad neighborhood. There's people coming to the hospital. This is before your insurance tied you into a hospital. Back then, you could pick the hospital and the doctor and all that type of stuff. And the census was already low for the hospital. But after the shooting of a security officer, that was. So they fired the director of security, the director of purchasing, and other people or whatever. But when they let him go, then I typed up a letter with saying, you need to get a gate across this church parking lot. You need to get bulletproof vest, and turned it in to the hospital administrator because we didn't have a director of security for a while. They didn't do anything. Nothing. Zero. Less than a year later, at 9:15 p.m., I'm not confused. This is the same parking lot, same time. John Galegas, my friend, was, of course, they were all my friends. There was just 10 of us that worked in the security department total. But I'd been to John's house. John and his girlfriend had been to my house. There's more to this story too, but I want to get to another part of the story, so let me quickly go over this. John Gallegos was in the parking lot at 9:15 p.m. The inside security officer came out and said, John, do you want a break? And John said, no, I'll just take my break here. I'm okay. The other security officer went back inside, and very bad neighborhood. At night, you didn't want to be on the guard shack because the guard shack was lighted and you could take rounds in it. So John was out walking around. He had a bad habit. I considered it a bad habit. I'd talked to him about it, of walking around always with his hand on the butt of his, standing in the hospital with a hand on the butt of the gun or whatever. But he was walking through the parking lot. A man came through the church parking lot where there was no gate into the doctor's parking lot. Started breaking into a car, rummaging in this car that he got into. John and him both saw each other at the same time. They both drew at the same time. They both shot each other at the same time. John was hit in the chest, fell to the ground dead. One of John's rounds hit the other guy. The other guy managed to jump over a fence that I couldn't have jumped over and collapsed on the next street. The police, of course, got him. I'd like to talk sometime about John's funeral. But what I want to talk about is that morning when I came in, the hospital administrator showed up and parked his big fancy car in the doctor's parking lot, got out of his car, and I was there. And I said, sir, there is John's blood on the ground. I told you before we needed to get a gate across that parking lot to church entrance there, and I told you we need a bulletproof vest. If we had that gate, probably they wouldn't have come through. If John was wearing a bulletproof vest, no question about it, he would not be dead. He'd be alive. Now what are you going to do about it? And he said, nothing. I'm not going to do anything about it, Jim. And he went into the hospital. So immediately, every doctor who pulled into the parking lot, and I knew them all by name, that was the only parking lot really the hospital had, and the doctor's parking lot was right there. Dr. Piper pulled in, Dr. Skinner pulled in, Dr. DeMaria. As they pulled in, and I went over to him. I said, "There's John's blood on the ground. I just talked to the hospital administrator. He refuses to do, and every one of the doctors said, Jim, what, I said, a gate, bulletproof vest. Every one of them said, they'd all say something slightly different. They'd say, I'm going to go talk to the hospital administrator right now. And one of them would say, how much do bulletproof vests cost? And I said, I don't know. And he says, I'll make sure, and he'd go in and bang, 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 bang. So about an hour and a half later, the assistant administrator, who with a big suck ass, kissing up to the hospital administrator, following him around like pitiful. It was sickening. He acted like he was. I knew as soon as I saw him coming out. Acted like he was coming out and going to his car. He said, I guess I don't need to go to my car. I guess I don't need to leave after all. Oh, Jim, by the way, we've decided we're going to get a gate across this parking lot entrance, here, and we're going to get you a bulletproof vest. I guess I don't need to. And he went back in the hospital. So they put a gate across there. They bought bulletproof vests for us. I didn't put on the bulletproof vest because I knew that my name had been circled. And so I started looking for work. I didn't want to get a bulletproof vest dirty and then have to pass it on to somebody else. So I started looking for work elsewhere, and I found it at Trinity Lutheran Hospital. Another story. I appreciate you listening. I want to fill out some of these details. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll go into some more of the details. There's more to it, and a great deal more to it. I met the shooters of the first security officer before they were arrested. Just a lot to it. Thanks for watching. Leave me some comments, feedback, rate this thing or whatever. Thank you very much.